Today we're going to start our PowerPoint unit, and in this unit we're going to start off talking about slides, headers, footers, and notes. In this lesson we're going to show you how to create new slides. We're going to change the layouts of the slides in that presentation. We'll show you how to print a presentation. And then in the next lesson we're going to talk about reusing slides, changing the slide size, adding notes to our slides, activating or using headers and footers, and then finally changing file properties. Well, like we did in Excel, we are going to start in PowerPoint with Lesson 2. Lesson 1 really is getting you used to the PowerPoint environment. We can do that as the beginning part of Lesson 2. So we're going to go ahead and open this Lesson 2 file. So in my book, I am on Lesson 2 begins on page 854, but I need to actually advance to the next page. So if you'll turn in your book to page 855, here you will see the PowerPoint file that you can open for our lesson. Clicking on that PowerPoint file, we're going to enable the editing, and we're going to save this file to our computer. So we're going to do a file, save as, direct this to my documents, and then I'm going to create a folder with today's date. The folder name will be today's date. I open that folder, and I'm going to add my initials to the end of that file name. And I click Save. As we take a look at this slide, I want to look at PowerPoint, and let's look at the things that are the same and different. As you look across the top, you've got the Home, Insert, Design tab. Okay, those are similar to what we've seen before. We've got new tabs that we haven't seen before. We've got a Transitions tab, an Animations tab, a Slideshow tab. Those are new. We also have a Review tab. We've seen Review tabs before in both programs, as well as the View tab. So although the contents and what may be in some of these tabs are different, we do have some tabs that are similar. Down to the right side of the screen, below the ribbon, you will see the actual slide that you will be working on. This is the basic working area of PowerPoint. Over on the left, this gives you the ability to change from one slide to the next. So this right here is kind of your I don't want to call it a slide sorter because there's an actual view called slide sorter, but this is where I can see miniatures, or thumbnails is what they're sometimes called, thumbnails of my slides. And so I can see the different slides that have been created. At the very bottom of the screen, in this particular slideshow it's actually hidden. At the very bottom of the screen, below the slides here, you actually have an area called a notes area. Now, in order to actually see the notes here, I'd have to move my mouse down below this horizontal scroll bar. If I move my mouse down below that, I can move this up. I'm dragging my mouse. I'm pressing and holding my left mouse button. And in doing so, I expose or show the notes area of my presentation. The purpose for notes we'll get into in a little bit actually in this lesson gives us the ability to type notes to ourselves about what we might want to say when this particular slide is up when I'm doing a presentation. So we've got the ribbon up at the top, nothing really different there. We've got the slide area over here to the right. We've got the slide miniatures or the slide thumbnails on the left, and we've got the notes area on the right. As always, we've got the status bar along the bottom, which does give you information about what might be going on. In the status bar, this is where I can zoom in or zoom out, just like we've done before in our other programs. We've got a scroll bar, which allows us to move up or down within our slides here. To the right, you've got the next slide and previous slide buttons. You will hear me refer to these from time to time as the double up arrow or the double down arrow, just as a description of them. The double down arrow technically is the next slide button, whereas the double up button, the previous slide button. It just allows me to change from one slide to the next without necessarily going over to my thumbnails over here. In this lesson, we want to go ahead and show you how to create a new slide. Relatively simple. On the Home tab, there is a New Slide button. You probably want to use the drop down on the New Slide button, because what that does is it gives you the ability to choose the layout, the look, if you will, of the slide. And so for the most common slide type is the title and content slide. So I'm going to click on that, and that will insert a title and content slide into my presentation. PowerPoint always inserts the new slide after whatever slide you're on. So I'm now on slide 2, and we're going to add another slide. This time it's going to be what's called a to content slide. So I'm going to go to the New Slide button, click the drop down, and I'm going to find the slide type called to content. And this will add another slide to my presentation, but this is a to content slide in which I can put in two different items. I could put in a table and a list, I could put in a list and a chart. It's really up to me what I want to put in as it relates to a to content slide. Now, at this point, we want to talk about the fact that you can duplicate a slide. Now, in this case, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference because the slide has nothing on it. So if I wanted another to content slide, I could come to the New Slide button and do another to content slide. But if this to content slide already had stuff pre-typed on it, and now I want to make a duplicate of it because most of what is on here I want to use, maybe I'm going to make just a few changes, then what I can do is I can come down under New Slide, I can come down to this option that says Duplicate Selected Slides. And what that would do is create another slide based on the one that you already have. Very handy if you want to have two slides that are almost identical but want to just modify a few things on it. Duplicate your slide once you've got your slide created. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this new slide. You should be on slide number 4 right now. I'm going to take this new slide and I want to change its layout. Alright, instead of having the to content slide here for slide number 4, what I'm going to do is I want to change its layout. Now, a lot of people think they go to New Slide to change the layout. No, this is going to create a brand new slide, yes, with a different layout. But if all I want to do is take the slide I'm on and modify its layout, I go to the Layout button. This Layout button has the same options that were available under New Slide. The difference is this one changes the look of the current slide rather than adding a new slide to it. In this case, the one that they want to choose is Content with Caption. So we're going to pick the layout here called Content with Caption. I click on that, and that changes the layout of slide 4 to this Content with Caption. Now, let's go back to slide number 2. Okay, we've added several slides here. Now we're going to go to slide number 2, and we're going to do some entering of text into this slide. I'm going to start by clicking on this box that's at the top. This is called a placeholder. This is a title placeholder. What it does is it holds the place for where I can type text in. We're going to type in tryouts begin next week. That's in the title for this particular slide. Now we're going to enter in a bulleted list. So we're going to start here and type in club tryouts, start Wednesday, June 8th. I'm going to press the Enter key to create a new item, and I'm going to say please be prompt. Putting an exclamation point after that. Now, after I've created my slide, I realize that there's actually 2 different age groups that have the tryouts on Wednesday. And so what I want to do is I want to create a subpoint underneath the club tryout start on Wednesday to be able to put the times for the 2 different age groups. So I'm going to click back up here above, or beside I should say, to the right of the number 8. And I'm going to press the Enter key, and that will create a new line for me. But now I want to indent. I want to indent this particular item. Well, as we've learned about in both both Excel and Word, there is the increase indent button. In PowerPoint, they've renamed it and called it increase list level. Okay, but it works the same way as what we've learned about before. So I can click on that increase list level button. Alternatively, just like in Word and Excel, actually Word, not Excel, you can use the Tab key on your keyboard to tab this in as well. Now I'm going to type in the 2 age groups. 4 p.m. will be for those under 11. And pressing the Enter key for a new line. 5 p.m. will be for all others. Okay, so I've got 4 p.m. for those under 11. 5 p.m. will be for any other people wishing to try out. Alright, so I now have typed into my slide. We've shown you how to type in a title. We've done a list and even doing a sub-list within my particular presentation. Now, let's talk about printing. If you go to the File menu and click on Print, you will see a print preview of your slide. Now notice here that the preview is appearing in black and white as opposed to color. You may notice on your list over here that there's an option that says grayscale, and then you've got this color option. But even if I change to color, it doesn't show any color. What's going on here? Well, you need to understand that the print preview is only going to show you the colors that are available to your printer. My particular printer, this classroom printer, does not have the capability of printing color. It is a black and white printer. So even if I choose the color option, there's no way it can print color because that is not an option. So I'm going to set this back to the grayscale option so that I can see what this is going to look like when it is printing. The other thing I can do is I can choose to print, if you will, specific slides. Instead of printing all my slides, maybe I only want to print the current slide. Now before I click on this, I want you to notice down here it says 2 of 5. When I click on Print Current Slide, now it's only going to show one option because this is the only thing that's printing. Alright, if you were really going to print, you would click on this Print button. Don't really want to print right now, don't want to kill trees, and so we're not going to actually print this out, but those are the settings relating to printing. I'm going to click on the arrow up here to go ahead and get back to our slideshow. You can now save your work, and that will wrap us up with Lesson 2. You can close this file. As we move on to Lesson 3, we're not going to open those files particularly from the book because we need a couple files in a different way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Class Files, double click on Class Files, then go to IIT, and we're now in PowerPoint, so we'll go to PowerPoint and Chapter 1. Now here in Chapter 1, we're going to need to get this file called P03 apply A, or excuse me, not apply, but try A and try B. So I'm doing P03 try A. I'm going to drag this to Documents and let go. Also want to drag P03 try B to Documents. And so that you will be ready for the apply activity, we're going to do the same thing with P03 apply A and apply B. So we're going to get both of these particular documents and drag them to the Documents folder. At this point, I'm going to go to Documents. I'm going to find the Try A file, open it up, enable the editing on this file, and then finally we're going to save this file, save as. We're going to save this to our folder that we created for today and add our initials. From time to time, what you want to do is reuse a slide. Basically, what reuse a slide means is where you have a slide that's in another presentation and you want to just grab that slide from that presentation and use it in this presentation. Let's go to slide number 4. Our goal here is I want to create a new slide 5, but that slide 5 is actually going to be a slide from a different presentation, actually multiple slides here. Well, we're going to go to New Slide, just like we've always done. Click on New Slide in order to create a new slide. But instead of picking a specific layout, we are going to say Reuse Slides. This opens this task pane on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm now going to browse to go find the file that I'm looking for. I'm going to browse for a file, and that file should be in my Documents folder. So I'm going to click on Documents, and I'm looking for the P03 try B file. Try B file. Here I will see 5 different slides. Alright, and so what we're going to do is we are going to bring all of these slides into the presentation. So I'm going to click on the first slide, June calendar, and you'll notice that that adds it to this presentation. I click on June 1st to 6th, 7th through 13th, 14th through 20th, and finally the 21st to 27th. And as you can see, all of those slides are now brought into this presentation. I no longer need the Reuse Slides item. The one thing I do want to point out is do notice that the look of the slides between the two presentations are different. That's because in the original presentation, one template was used, one theme, whereas in this presentation a different theme was used, and so when the slides are brought in, they are brought in using the current theme. I'm going to close out of the Reuse Slides button. So I now have my slides. Now, this particular presentation was set up for a widescreen projector. If I am not going to be on a widescreen projector, it would be a good idea to resize these slides so that they would fit on a standard size television screen. In other words, the one that's not widescreen. Well, this is done through the Design tab. If I click on Design, I will see my various themes, okay, variations on the themes called variants. The one I want is slide size. Instead of using the widescreen, we're going to change back to a standard 4:3. This is your standard old-fashioned television set type of presentation. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to choose the maximize option, which is the default setting. We're going to click maximize, and that is going to now modify my slides so they are a little more square-ish, alright, which will fit better on a standard television set as opposed to a widescreen. Although not common, from time to time you may want your slides to appear more like a piece of paper. Okay? Typically slides are landscape, but you may want a portrait slide. Well, the button we were just on will accomplish this. If we go to Slide Size and choose Custom Size, over here on the right where it says Orientation, this is where we can change the landscape to a portrait orientation. When you click OK, we're again going to maximize. And so now you will see in your presentation your slides are taller than they are wide. Now that was more for demonstration than what we really want to do. So we're going to put this back to a standard landscape, and we're actually going to go to for the widescreen effect as well. So I'm going to go to Slide Size again. I can do both in one shot by choosing the widescreen 16:9. Again, I'm going to maximize this. And that should modify all my slides so that they are once again in the landscape mode using the widescreen view so that I can my screen size is wider. Let's go to slide number 5. In slide number 5, what I want to do is I want to add some notes to slide 5. So to do that, I'm going to go to my View tab, and I am going to click on my normal view. And with the normal view selected, you should see at the very bottom of the screen where it says click to add notes. If you want to make this a little bigger, you can grab that little line that goes right above the click to add notes. I can move that up a little bit in order to make this notes area a bit larger. Clicking right here where the notes are, we are going to type in the note, tell them about what's coming in June. Tell them about what's coming in June. Basically, what this note does is if I were to print out my notes, this would be something that I, as the speaker, might want to keep on hand. What this will do is it'll show a small picture of what this slide is and then print out my notes information below that so I know what I want to tell the people that I'm presenting to when this slide comes up. Alright, let's do another note, and that's going to be on slide number 4. On slide number 4, talks about the different clubs, and what we want to do is we want to let them know that membership is free. So here on slide 4, clicking in the notes area, we're going to say, remind them that membership is free. So I want that information to appear on the note. So again, on each slide, I'm clicking to slide 5. I see the note for slide 5. I click on slide 4. I see the note for slide 4. So each slide can have its own notes page, so that if you were to print this out, you would be able to see the notes for each slide on your printout if you printed out the notes page. Alright, the next thing we want to do is we want to turn on headers and footers. Now, headers and footers in a PowerPoint presentation are slightly different. Unlike Word, there's no place you can go on the slide to double click or whatever in order to turn on the header or footer. So we have to go on the ribbon to the Insert tab. Insert, and I'm looking for header and footer. It's part of my text group, just like we've done in both Excel and Word. The difference, however, is now in PowerPoint we get this dialog box, and this dialog box has got 3 different check marks. I can turn on a date or time, I can turn on my slide numbers, and I can turn on the footer. Notice, by the way, technically there is no header in a slide. Alright, so in this particular case, we're going to turn on the footer, so we're going to put a check where it says footer, and now we're going to click underneath where it says footer, and we're going to type in what we want the footer to say. It's going to say the cities, and I accidentally pressed enter. The cities, and that's Y''S for cities, hottest jazz club. Alright, so what I've done here is I've told it to activate the footer. Notice this option that says don't show on title slide. Okay, remember our layouts, we do have a layout called a title slide, and if I check this, that will keep all of these items from appearing on the title slide. Now at this point, I don't want that checked, so we're going to leave that unchecked and click on Apply to All. Now, at this point, I can go to any slide in my presentation, and I will see the text, the city's hottest jazz club, appearing in the bottom right corner of all the slides in my presentation. On my View tab, I want you to see what it would look like if I printed out a notes page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here where it says Notes Page, and I meant to be on slide number 5, so let's bounce up here to slide number 5. Okay? And so as I had said, if I printed out a notes page, I would see a small picture of what the slide would look like, and then underneath that I would see the notes that I would have included for slide number 5 in this case. I'm going to go up to slide 2. I did that by going to the double up arrow here. I said slide 2, I actually meant slide 4, and here I will see the notes that I did for slide number 4. So my notes page gives me, if you will, a print preview of what would actually print out if I had printed out my notes page. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to modify our document properties. Document properties we've dealt with in both Word, Excel, and now PowerPoint. We find our document properties by going to the File menu. All of my properties are listed over here on the right, or at least some of them are. If I want to see more properties than what I have visible here, I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says Show All Properties. And when I click on that, I will be able to see almost all of the properties for this presentation. The first item I'm going to modify is the one that says Title. Okay? Right now it says the Embers Lounge. I want it to say the Embers Presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and delete out the word lounge and replace it with the word presentation. The next thing I want to do is I want to add a subject. So I'm going to look through my list of properties. One of them is subject, and I'm going to click where it says to the right of the word subject, and I want to type in here information on club. The final thing that we're going to modify is status. Okay, the document property called status, we are going to type in the phrase in progress. So, I've modified the title to say the Embers Presentation. I've modified subject to say information on club, and I've added a status called in progress. Clicking back to my regular slide presentation. Alright, I want to go back to my normal view, so I'm looking at my slides and what they will look like. Let's save our work, clicking on the Save button, and that will bring us to a close of Lesson 3. So after you've saved your work, you can close this file, and you will have a couple of apply activities to work on. So today we covered creating new slides. We can create a new slide from scratch, or we can bring in slides from another presentation. We talked about changing the layouts of those slides. We mentioned printing a presentation. We reused some of those slides we brought in from another presentation. We changed the slide size. We went from widescreen view to a standard screen view. We added notes to a couple of slides. We activated headers and footers. Specifically, we activated the footer for a slide. And then we talked about how to change file properties.